And this I also say in everything in life as a mother, go back into being a child when you can, to understand these kids' demand. I got fired on my first day back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I came back from Navy and she fired me. Everything is movement to me, but not just movement. It's dance. I love dance.
Welcome to yet another episode of CO40 Inside Sport. This is a discussion platform where we trace the journey, break down the blueprint, and dive deep into careers of mature movement artists. My name is Shafiq. Today's guest is a special one. And she has done it all. She has danced, she has freelanced. She's a mom, and now she's a stage manager. So join me as we welcome Priscilla. Priscilla, my friend.
My friend.
You have done it all. And so great to have you. Thank you for sparing time to be with us on this free day of yours. We really appreciate it. So, who is Priscilla?
I'm Brazilian.
You're Brazilian.
First of all, that's very important because that describes a lot who I am and my personality. I left Brazil very young. With 16, I got a scholarship and I went to the Vienna State Opera to be a dancer, to make my dream come true. Then from Vienna, I went to Gelsenkirchen. That was my first theater in Germany with the age of 18. I was 9 years then. Then I went to Münster. I was almost 5 years there. Then I moved to Berlin. And yes, I have been living in Berlin since 2017. And it's been a year that I'm guesting a little bit everywhere. So that's the artist Priscilla.
Wow. Why do you think it's important for you to say, I'm Brazilian first? Because it describes a lot of my personality.
Because
what is that?
I have been in Europe for like 25 years.
Yeah.
That's a very long time. That's more than half of my life.
Okay.
So, of course, there's a side of me that I would always say is German, no? But I am so Brazilian. I go to Brazil every year. I was never like, some people, they move to Europe and they're like, oh no, I haven't been to Brazil for like 3 years. And I never managed that. I need to go back to Brazil. I need to see my family. I need to hear my language. I need to feel the energy because that's what sort of like recharges my battery.
Yeah. I think I can relate a bit because when you say I need to move back to my country to recharge and come back here, there is some kind of connection that I feel is important and is also necessary. But now, I would like to ask you about your active career, first as a dancer. Can you throw some light on that?
You mean past?
Yeah.
Amazing. That was my dream. I left everything for dance. No, I left my family for dance. And then once I left Münster to come to Berlin, I left my partner for dance. And now I'm leaving my kids for dance. So I have the feeling that dance, leave my kids, that's a strong way to say, but dance, it's my first baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I call it. That's the first thing that I considered mine. Therefore, my career as a dancer was special, was mine. I treat it as something very valuable. It was not always easy because dance has so many layers. The way you look, your body, your age, your injuries, everything speaks a very big role in the dancer's life. So you constantly have to fight against those stereotypes. You know, if you're not perfect body in that moment for the costume, it's an issue. If You're not completely healthy. It's an issue. So everything becomes an issue. You're constantly fighting that. But then the moment you're on stage, all those issues are gone for me. That's the moment where I knew, doesn't matter. I'm here. And once the performance is over, the show, this feeling of leaving the stage is incomparable. For me, it's like one of the most beautiful things. So whenever I think of my career, I always go back to this moment. Like I performed now in March again, after like not being on stage for a long time, and that feeling was there. I didn't have to search. I didn't have to remember. It was just there again, and this feeling is a bit what I always think of my career. Wow.
What did you perform in March?
Yes, that was a very interesting thing because we got together like 5 dancers. One guy was in a contract. Me not, after having the kids, not being on stage. One guy that decided not to be a dancer anymore, but missed dancing. So we were 5 people in a different moment, plus the guy that was going to direct us, also like feeling a little bit useless, let's say. And we all said, let's do something. No money, nothing. Let's just get together and do something. And at first we were rehearsing like once a week. Just like, throwing ideas out. And then we got some funding, then we got the stage, and it turned into a piece, which I really, really enjoyed because it was a piece made out of like pleasure. It was a freelance thing, but very nice.
Okay.
Cool project.
Before I forget, I want to go back to some statement you made about stereotype. When you say stereotype in your dance career, what do you mean?
I mean, for example, I was in Vienna, and for my age, 16, because in Brazil, as a dancer, it's not that you like follow rules, you boom on stage. Like you start when you're a classical dancer with the variations very early. So in a very young age, you're exposed to the stage. Doesn't matter if you have maybe the most correct position, So we have this attitude, you go on stage, you explode, versatility. So when I arrived in Vienna, I was 16, and I could do way more than the girls my age, for example. I had way more experience and so on. So it came to a moment that was like, oh, let's perform Don Quixote. Who is the one that can do it? And my name came like, yes, she's the one. But I didn't have enough legs. My legs were not long enough. No?
What do you mean by your legs were not long enough?
I'm already small, but my legs, for the chichi, they were not beautiful enough. Plus, I put on weight. I was 16. I had just moved from Brazil to Vienna, this cold country. I was alone. Yeah, clearly I ate more. Clear they had fantastic cakes.
Right.
Of course. I put on weight. And then I wasn't beautiful enough for the role, even though technically I was the best. So I didn't get to perform the role because of my body. And that already starts in such a young age where you cannot do it because of that. And I don't know, had I been like slim enough, still my legs were just not fitting. That's when I come to the stereotype of the classical dancer. To wear this tutu unit, maybe longer legs. Like for me, it was always clear I'm never going to join the company, the Staatsoper, because I'm not tall enough. No? I understand. Maybe they need those rules, maybe you need to be minimum 1.63 meters, and I'm 1.54. Jesus. But those are the moments that I say they are stereotypes.
Did someone specifically come to you and tell you you're not getting the role because you put on weight?
I think a teacher. I mean, it's been a long time, but I remember me knowing. And then I started to lose weight by really eating little, and I used to wear a t-shirt, and I remember one teacher telling me, you're good now, you can take your t-shirt off. You're ready to show yourself in like the tricot. I could feel that everybody was a little traumatized. The girls had weight issues, eating disorders. Because it's a lot of pressure. You need to fit in this box. As a dancer, you're constantly fitting in the box.
I mean, we had our first guest on the show, and this specific thing seems to come up a lot more in the dancers who come from a classical background.
But I find in the contemporary as well.
As well.
As well. It's still the aesthetic really matters. In my last company that I was hired, I could feel. I could feel that this was something.
How did you get out of it, let's say, yourself?
I don't think I ever got out of it. And I feel once you're in a company, I don't think we have that much voice. Dancers are constantly afraid that somebody else will take their place. You're constantly scared. That's how I grew up. Like, you have a place, you're thankful that you got a contract, because how many dancers are out there fighting for this place? And you're replaceable. At the end of the day, we're all replaceable. But as a dancer, you feel even more that if something goes wrong, you're out of it. And somebody else will come. Somebody more beautiful with a better body than you. Like in my very first company, I loved that place. But we used to dance in tangas. I guess I put on a little bit of weight and I was told off. Like, I got invited into the office to say, I don't know how I'm going to put you on the stage.
That is down here in the organization.
Yeah. I loved the director. And don't get me wrong. I had a 9 years career with him. I became soloist very young. He wanted to help me. That's what I say. It is in the society. It's not that he wanted to go against me. He didn't want to say you're bad, you look ugly. He wanted to give me a push because I was 18. I was very young to say, lose weight. That's okay. But just, it is there, It is there. Like, people want you to look slim. And I have realized the older I got that for me to move better, I feel better when I'm slimmer. My body offers me a better range of movement, But that's what I feel. I
don't think it is the ultimate tool for being free to move. But I also don't want to disregard your...
It's maybe not slim. Like right now that, for example, I'm doing something else and I don't have the time to do my workouts. Maybe that's the thing. My body doesn't feel as tight. That's maybe the thing that you're trying to understand. What is the slim? What is the fit? Maybe it's two different things.
I think it's the trauma. I think it's the trauma of people being afraid because you're supposed to take the vacation to relax and you're not supposed to think about how much you eat or how you're going to look after. But I think this for me should not be a reason for dancers to be scared of having a vacation, because even when you're on vacation, then you're not having a vacation.
Unfortunately, that's how I see it. Yeah. I have noticed that there are companies in Germany that have dancers when the body is not the first thing that will make you hire this person or not, but the actual dance of this person.
And what do you think has to be done in this case? Just your own perspective.
I don't know. I think people that have the power have to start bringing this, dancers that are different, bigger. All types of people are allowed on stage. Dance is for everyone, And you can look amazing in many different ways. Because I feel it's already a short career.
It is very short.
Very short. And if you're not able to enjoy fully, what do you have left at the end of the day,
That's a good question. Thank you, Priscilla. So, why did you choose dance as a dance career?
Didn't choose.
You didn't choose. Tell me more. How did you?
Dance chose me. Of course.
Please tell me more. Dance chose you. I love that.
I come from a very artistic family. Like, my father is a conductor, is a musician, my older sister as well. My grandma was teaching piano. I had an uncle that was playing viola at the orchestra. So I come from a very artistic family. And dance was there. There were stairs and I would go up to watch the class. And I would reproduce movements. And at a very young age, people said that I would just copy what people were doing. And I know in school, when they ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always said a dancer. That's what I wanted to do. Because that was so strong, inside of me. I love, it's stronger than me. Yeah. My mom said that she was always ashamed because we would go out to do shopping or whatever. and I would just stay behind dancing, or whenever there was a mirror, I would dance.
Mama, don't get ashamed. She's a star now. How did you experience your career as a performing artist overall? If you can summarize it.
I enjoyed being on stage. I enjoyed, like, every time I became a soloist, I performed so much. I was so much on stage. I had like 23 years active career, in theaters. I was never out of a contract for 23 years. That's a long career. Then I went from very classic into the very dance theater, no? So I also find I explored everything, which is great. So I don't have any regrets.
That's great.
I had a beautiful career as a dancer so far.
Okay. Within those 23 beautiful years of your dance career, what was the most meaningful part of it?
I think each time that I surprised myself with like, oh, I can also do that. Because you think you're this, and then something would happen that you would say, oh, but I'm also that. That was very valuable to me to realize, like, oh, I'm more than just this. All those different sides. This is so beautiful to see how dance is more than that. So I also think that the meaningful things kept changing. But one thing that never ever changed, the human side on stage never changed to me. This honest on stage. I had at the very beginning of my career, and I still have it now, that I think this is honest. This is true. Okay.
Do you think dancers are more honest on stage, or they are more on the side of superficiality and producing rather than being?
I think they are searching. I think dancers are questioning more than ever. Why am I doing that? This doesn't make any sense to me. That's why dancers are, I think it's a career that sometimes I criticize that, like, can we just not be happy with what we have? Because we're constantly searching. And in this search, sometimes I think we fall a little bit into this, oh, but that's not good. Oh, but that's not enough. That, That sometimes I think, like, but can we have just a moment where it's just okay? That you're not searching because, it's okay to be happy with what you have. And then you go back into the search. It's hard to find the balance, I think, in between choreographers wanting, sucking, the dancers feeling they have to, like, feed the ego, but where's my wish? Because, and that's when I think the classic word is still it is what it is. You have the variations, you have the big classic, you offer that to the public. I don't mean it bad, that is flat in a bad way. It's just, it is there, but the contemporary word, it's in a constant search, I believe.
Oh, brilliant. That's great. What was the most challenging part of those 23 years?
When I had injuries.
You did have injuries?
Yeah.
I was about to ask you.
That was the most challenging. Because my first injury happened very early, was my back. I had like 2 hernias. And I started like to block. And it's hard to find out like those things, because I always find like with the back, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have big injuries in my foot. Oh yes, I broke my foot. But those are very concrete things. You break, the bone gets back together, you do the rehab, you're fine. But with the back, you don't know what is triggering, what is causing. Like, suddenly I would block. And the blocking started to get worse. And I was like quite young. I was like 21. So, block. And then you don't move. No, it already happened that I was like 2 hours on the floor waiting. And then finally I did the MRI and we found out, yes. And the treatment takes forever. You would take less, constantly checking, doing a lot of exercise, trying to get movement, but not too much, because too much movement would cause me to block. And then I had the feeling was the time I wasn't free. Sometimes you try things in dance. And then it costed me a lot of never trying. things. Once I dived into more contemporary, I was very afraid of like floor things. I remember in Münster that it became a little bit more floor, and I was like, I don't know if I can try this. Because I was afraid. And until now, there are things that I didn't experience because of my injury. But I would say that the last 2 years of my career were the only 2 years that I was great. That's very little, no? For 23 years, that's very little.
And after the injury, did you discover another way of movement? Or you still feel like you're making compromises?
Yeah, I discovered. But I still felt that my brain, because the brain commands everything, you know, the fear was always there. And I would still perform because that's what you go on stage and you perform, then you take away all the arabesques, you take away this, so you're proud because you make compromises to perform. But the fear is there.
Do you think dancers should go on stage with injuries? Because I know all of us do.
I think there are injuries and injuries. You know, like there were moments that I went on stage with a little block that was not that serious. And then you're a little bit proud because something would go different in the show. But there are injuries and injuries. And one of the last time I performed with a bad thing was I blocked my neck. In like 2018, I got blocked in a way that was serious, that I could not look. And this was the first time that in the day of the performance, I said, let's try things. And I said, I don't think I can dance. And my director told me, what do you mean you cannot dance?
Oh, so the director did not support you on that. Okay.
No. And I got so pissed and I said, then I'm going to dance. Because I'm also like this. I'm a person that if you say, what do you mean you're going to dance? I'm like, really? And I performed. And that was the one performance that I truly regretted because I went on stage with so much pain, and I think was one of the only times that I had the feeling the audience could see it. And this really upset me because I thought, why did I do this to myself? I left the stage crying because I felt so weak. And this injury was actually the one that I had just before my first pregnancy, like I had for like 1.5 years. And I remember 2019, this year before pregnancy, that I thought, what am I doing? I think this was one of the reasons as well that I thought I anyway want to get pregnant. And I need to say I used a little bit the pregnancy to get out of the dancing for a while because I couldn't do it anymore.
Because I was going to ask you if there were moments in your career where you didn't feel like you were supported by the system. Would this be one of those?
Yes. Because in my first company, I had a great boss.
Yeah.
Like in the moment that my back started to give me an issue, he was like, and I'm glad to say, Bernd Schindowski.
And the name was?
Bernd Schindowski.
Bernd Schindowski.
Yes, and he was 33 years in Gelsenkirchen, and he gave me so many opportunities, and he supported me. Like, I remember he would tell me, I don't want to see you here. Go home. I remember I was crying. He came to my house and I said, Bernd, I want to perform. When I found out about very bad injury, and he said, I will prepare a second cast for you, just in case. Wow, you know? So, and then I went to the rehabilitation at the Medicals of Schalke, and he gave me everything. And he told me, how do you want to do it? And I said, I want to keep dancing. So he even made it in a way that I could be out of the theater, but I would come back to do the shows. And I had a small role. But he did everything in a beautiful way. And then in Münster was Hans Henning Paar, which I'm going to work it again now. Also again, Henning was great. Yeah. When I blocked once, he could see that I was like fearing, and he was like, you okay? Do you manage to perform? What do you need? They both supported me very much.
So Hans Henning Paar and Bernd Schindowski.
Schindowski. They were great.
Thank you. They were great.
They were great. Because when I went to this place, I thought, wow. I actually went to this place because I felt seen. She would work with improvisation, and this was a moment in my career where I was like, I want more. You know, I'm very good in learning steps. I'm very fast, but I wasn't sure, what do I have? what's mine? What's my style? What is my body language? And she brought this. And she was like, that's beautiful. And I felt like, wow, somebody saw me. And that was the moment when it clicked and I thought like, I want to work in this direction. And then it happened that she's like, eventually she said, wow, I would love if you could come and work here. And I was like, yes. So then I asked me in Münster, I said, I want to finish my contract. And then I left actually a bit earlier. Henning was so nice that he let me leave in January instead of September. And then I went to Berlin, like, wow, I'm going to be working in a place that is so human, where people see me, where, you know, I had the disappointment of my life in this place. There were beautiful things, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
There were, of course, every place has beautiful things. I had a great group of dancers, very creative dancers, which was very necessary because in this company, the pieces would come very much from the dancers. Yeah, so this was the place that being sick and being injured was
a no-go.
A no-go.
Wow. Dancers cannot fall sick and get injured. It's funny because it's one of the most demanding where anything can happen in a moment. But how was your career then after being a mom with your first kid?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yes, because not only my body changed, I got softer somehow. And I remember one doctor, a chiropractor told me once you get a child, you will see that a lot of things will get better by hormones and so on. And I need to say he was right. Somehow my hips were softer, and I danced for 2 years. Before then, I got pregnant again for my second kid. It was beautiful. I was more relaxed. I went on stage with a completely different mindset. And it was not that I said, now the kid is more important than the performance. I didn't put priorities, you know. The stage was as important as it has always been, but I was different. Yeah. Also, this feeling like to go home. I'm someone that I think a lot. My brain works 24/7. And I don't know this feeling to go home and just the love of this kid, this baby. I mean, this is, it's priceless. You can't explain. Even though my nights were hard, because I went back, my kid was 10 months. She was still very young, my boy. So, I was breastfeeding. The nights were still a little bit tough. So I cannot say it was easy. I was very tired, but I was very happy.
Completely worth it.
Yes. Completely. Yes.
What do you wish that dance choreographers and directors would understand about parents who are artists?
I don't know if I would connect to the child. Like me, I was very afraid that I would miss one working day because of this environment that I was into, So luckily I have a partner that was fully there. So I didn't miss one working day because of my child. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, had I needed to miss, because I avoided in every possible way. Regardless if it's a child, if it's a sickness, if it's the death of someone, that there is a bigger understanding that this is a person, we want the best, we all work for the same purpose, but everybody has a life. And for everyone, what is not important to me is maybe important to this person. Yeah. So it's a general understanding. I don't know if I would necessarily speak about the kid, Yeah. It's just in general that things can happen. Injuries can happen. Mental problems can happen. It's not just here. It's here. Maybe this person is going through a tough time. And it's up to you as a director to some things off. Yeah. How do I deal? How can I approach this person? Because this person is not fully there. And how can I help? Because by helping this person, I help the product that is coming out of this person, So I think it's I don't know if I just connect to parents, because in my case, I don't know if there was any change becoming a mom. I was definitely afraid but I was afraid before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I cannot tell you that there was a change from the moment I became a mom. What I hated, this part I really hated, like, you know, kids, they get fever from nowhere, especially when they're like 1 year old. It's like from nowhere in the evening, boom, they're suddenly warm. And I remember myself in the night checking this poor boy, hoping that his fever would go down, that he could go to the kindergarten the next day.
So you could come.
So I could go to work. Not that he was fine. Because my partner would say, look, baby, tomorrow you have no premiere. So I cannot compromise my work. You're gonna then miss the work. And I was like, I cannot miss, because I didn't want to call that person and say, look, I cannot come. You know? So this I find unacceptable. That I went through this fear because of one working day. What's that? Why? And then sometimes I was like, yeah, Priscilla, but that's you. That's on you. Yeah, but there's a reason why I'm like that. You know? There's a reason why I don't trust this person enough to say, because in my first company, I would ask my boss if I could bring my mom to the airport. And he would say, yeah, sure, you can arrive at 7:30 in the evening because you take your mom. So come on. Yeah. There's a difference, you know? So that's not me. That's the way the situation is.
Do you think that the system can do better to make sure that their workers' life is not only in the theater, but out of the theater?
Yes, but again, I had two good experiences, you know? Of course, I didn't have a kid in that time, but I remember like 2 girls got pregnant in Munster in the time. So I saw one getting pregnant, coming back, and then the father was also dancing, and then the father took a leave. I saw that there is a way that works, and I saw one place that doesn't work. So, yes, people should understand. People should be human. That artist is here, human, combined. I got fired on my first day back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I came back from baby and she fired me.
But she fired you because you had a baby?
Kunstlerische Grund. For artistic reasons, but even though they still do pieces that I created.
Yeah.
And I want to work with younger dancers. Even though she has one guy that is 44 in the company, 43, 44. She has one girl that is 36. Come on, I'm 41. It's not such a big difference, you know? But what surprises me is on my first day back. Can you believe? You know me for 8 years. I worked for you for 8 years. We know each other. You know, it's a company that is very tight, it's very intimate. And that maybe you don't have a talk with me half of a year before and say, listen, how do you see your career now with 2 kids? From my side, I have a little bit this issue. Because, you know, you don't stay in a place that you're not welcome.
Yeah.
Who wants to work in a place that you're not welcome? No, you leave. I would even say, of course, I don't put a lawsuit on you, no, I would sign a paper because I would consider this gesture a gesture of respect towards my work, towards my person, towards my family. You have seen my family growing. But what do you think I do when I'm 40, fired, a mother of 2? What do I do? Where does my career go? My life was set. Imagine, my boyfriend, we had all scheduled. You know, as a family, you have to schedule everything, not 2 days before. And then I go back home and say, I'm fired. What does this do to your psychological? 1. 2, to the whole system of the family and my future. I would have really appreciated a talk. What do you need? How can this transition be nice? I'm okay if you don't want to work with me anymore. All good. But let's do it in the best way, no? How can I support you? But the way it was done was like, this chair has I don't like this chair anymore. But I found very cruel, if I may say.
It is very cruel.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And how did you come out of that mental struggle?
I mean, I need to say, I think it, like, out of all the drama, I think it was a good thing for me to get a little push because that place was very toxic for me. And I don't know if I would have managed to stay longer. And I remember in that week when I got fired for like 2 days, I was like quiet. And then by the third day, I was doing workout because I thought, no matter what, get ready, get fit. So the first thing I did was like I went back to ballet, to take ballet class again because I was like, that's my base. That's where I feel extremely secure. And there I started, and then, audition from the ZFV, get my name a little bit out there. This was beginning 2025. Then I remember the first time I could go somewhere and teach for a week, I was like, oh, I got invited. And then you go and then people say, oh, come back next season. You're like, nice. I left a good impression.
Wow. Thank you. Did you ever feel like age played a role in how you were perceived as a dancer?
Yes. Like in this case now. The sentence, I want to work with younger dancers, it's clear. I knew, why did I freak out so much? Because I knew with this number 4, which audition do I do? Which job do I get? I don't even need to send my CV, So, of course, it plays a role all the time. I remember when I turned 30, me thinking, and now? Already the 3 for dancers, like I hear dancers, it's ridiculous. They are 29 and they say, I'm already old. And I think, what? You're 29? Like, how can you be old with 29? Jesus. And this is crazy now that I'm 41 because I think, no. Why? How come? And I'm a woman. So there's so many layers. I'm a woman that already after 40, you see the products that are for women after 40.
Uh-huh.
This is a labor. It's there. Come on. Right?
Yeah.
So as a dancer, as a woman, and you're a mother. So look how many labors I have on me. 40 mom, woman. It's a lot to carry, I find.
So that made you feel invisible.
Definitely, because that there is little chances, like, for example, I knew I wanted to become an assistant, but there is a side of me that is still a dancer. That's why I did this project. I wanted to go back on the stage with a good feeling, not, the last one I had. And then I felt like, but do I have the choice? If I become an assistant now as a dancer? I guess not. Because with 40, what choice do I, you know what I mean? So, of course it plays a big role because my choice is sort of like, but no matter how good I'm still. I consider that I'm a much better dancer now than I was with 30. Much smarter. But does it matter? Because the word said, anyway.
I think it matters, but it has to matter in a group where people understand what you're talking about. Looking back at your career, what do you think the dance world demands most from dancers, and at what cost?
They demand that you're fully there all the time. Like, there's a little bit of this, like, but can you do it again? Can you do it again? This repetition, this being fully there, it's something that I feel for dancers is very... That's why I don't know you, but me as a dancer was always like in the day that I had pain, I was like, actually, I cannot do 100%. There, I need to go to 70. And maybe that's enough for that day, But for me, the weight was always like, there's a run through. He's going to create a duet on me. Fully there. This weight I always felt.
It's funny because also, like, sometimes you tell people, I am not feeling so good. For example, like, I am not feeling well. And you would get an answer like, we have a show on Saturday. Do you think you can do it? And you're like, so the first question is, it's not about how you feel as a dancer, but about
how much can you achieve?
Yeah, how much can you achieve?
Yes.
Are there expectations of being on stage gonna get affected? Then they're in a problem because they don't care about you, how you feel. It's more about
The product.
The product.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And therefore, this is what I feel is demanding from us, Or they freak out.
Yeah.
I remember they would freak out, like one dancer was missing. This dancer is missing. I'm like, we're in a creation process. It's not the end of the world, this person is sick, the person. So this I never understood, yeah.
Would you consider returning to performing artist or creating today?
Of course. Fully, like as I did in March. If there's any other opportunity, if there would come a nice project, I would always say, like, if I'm an assistant in a company and there's anything with the dancer that I would jump in. Well, for me as well, I cannot imagine to drop, like now that I'm being stage manager, I'm happily taking class. I don't want to forget the dancer that I am. This is very important to me. Movement is very important to keep my brain functioning. And I don't consider myself, I did the transition. What transition? There's no transition. No. There's this much that I want to be able to do. And if I feel that I cannot do it anymore, then I will decide this is out of my hands now. I would never put myself in a position where I cannot do something good enough,
Yeah.
Or where I don't want to do it. Then I would say, I don't need this anymore.
I always get a question, like, if you want to talk, I'm here to talk because we can talk about your transition. And I always feel weird.
How much of it?
No, because I've not told you I want you to talk to me about my transition. So why are you coming to me? That means indirectly you're telling me, I want you gone.
Yes.
In a way.
That is time for you.
Yes.
Think of the new.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I know, of course, it's the system of how things work. And of course, like you said, they labor us like at 30, then you're not productive enough and stuff. But I'm like, stuff you don't get to decide my future. Let me decide. And if I need your help, I'll come to you, but don't come to me yet because I don't need you. How would you feel supported for you to get back on stage fully and dance?
I think in an environment where I feel free to be who I am and to not fear having to miss the rehearsal, like this last project I did, I felt free. I had a nice connection to the choreographer, the director there, and he knew that I was teaching. I had some trips, and I didn't hear once like, because this wounds me. Then I always heard like, of course. Sorry, I can just arrive today at 2:00, but I can stand to 7. It was appreciated what I could give, not what I could not give. And that made me feel like there's an exchange here because I will give you a lot. You know me, trust. You know that I'll be there. Because I always feel like if you know me well enough, if people know me, they know how much I work and how much I love to work and how much I love dance. So there's no question. And this is the part that I always think the trust needs to be there. Dance is like to feel that there is trust. No, at least me as a dancer, I always felt like if you trust me, then I won't take advantage of your trust as well.
If you are directing a company or an artistic platform, how would you structure it to function properly?
That's so hard because I think we all have images, but I also know that once you're there is so much power and all. Like I realize now, being as an assistant, like in different theaters, this dream of what you could do, but the dream is one thing and how things are is something else. It's a little bit tricky, so I find hard to say, but I think I would always try, first of all, to change position, Like, go to the dancer side. Remember how it felt when I was a dancer. I think it's always important because we start to forget.
Yeah.
You become an assistant, you start to forget, go back. Go back. Whenever they have a complaint, go back. Because then you might be able to answer that question. How did you feel? What did you miss as a dancer? What was important to you as a dancer? Because that's when you're able to feel it again. And maybe to say, guys, hang on a second. No. I know where you're coming from, but no. Because you remember. Or to say, It's the amount. There's a lack here, you know? This is what I think, to always go back. And this I also say in everything in life as a mother, go back into being a child when you can, to understand these kids' demand. Because if you stay here, you know, and it's not just like going to the eye level, it's literally how did it feel? Because when we feel, we are able to understand. Make sense?
Go back, feel, you are able to understand.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Wow. I'm going to take that with me. Thank you, Priscilla. What do you think is the most harmful structure for dancers today?
I think this feeling of feeling used, you know, I think it's the worst. That you stop seeing yourself as an artist, but you start seeing yourself as a product of, like, you know, I think this is what I hear most. The dancers feel like, yeah, but why am I doing this? This is not who I am. This is not what I have to believe. And then they start to complain, and the complaints don't bring happiness. It's a chain of like feelings, but I feel this like you want to be seen as an artist, you know, that has feelings and that has thoughts and that is a unique artist, even though you belong in this group that is supposed to be homogeneous, you know, like. If I can be honest, sometimes I also think dancers have the tendency to complain too much, including myself. And maybe sometimes you can say, this is not my way of working, but not everything will be your way of working. Not every choreographer is going to bring the way you like. Because choreographers have also their opinion in their mind. And they have their names that will come out there. Né? So if you're not happy and you want to do your own thing, then go and create. This is your job. At the end of the day, you pick this career. So cannot always be flowers and beautiful things. No, I mean.
How do you imagine a future where age and experience are valued rather than limiting?
I can imagine that needs to drop this thing that is already there, that up 40, there is a change, there is a transition. I think once this is being taken away, once you're not afraid to send your CV and to have this number, because, you know, people will not look at it but they will say, of course, let me see you. Once people just accept that you can have a 40 years old or 45 and 25, and maybe they're going to have different roles, and that's okay, you know. You can have your career and you can get a child later. So I think those things need to change in the system. Of course you can. There is a space for you. There is a space for you to be in the age that you are. And nobody will tell you to stop your job unless you say so.
Yes, I feel. At 41, if you were to do an audition, what would be the perfect setting for you to show yourself, be who you are, and give your best in that audition?
I think where I'm not afraid to be who I am, you know? Because I remember when I did the audition of the ZFV, it felt a little weird because I was clear the oldest one there. I was clear the one that had experienced the most. Therefore, at the end of the audition, they were also like, why are you here? Not really understanding. Or like, no, because I was clearly good enough. I performed well. The song I had to show. So, and then we spoke and it got clear. So I think in a place that there is not like a, why do you think you have a chance here? But I feel like I can compete for this place and not feel ashamed by being 41 and sending my CV. Because when I decided, like, okay, what do I do? Is it even worth it to sending my CV as a dancer somewhere? I felt ashamed. And I thought, like, if they would see me, I'm not ashamed of how I dance, but I'm ashamed of the number that I carry with me. And this is something that I would say no one should feel that.
Yeah.
Oof.
What would you like younger dancers to understand about longevity?
We are very immediatist, no? Dancers live in the present and everything is now. And if anything happens, it's the end of the world because, our career is short and you had the auditions to do next season and now the chance is over. And I think to understand, like, you can breathe because we live seasons, no? Dancers have this funny season. It's a season. The season is over. The season is almost over. Your calendar runs in the next season. So this pressure of the season and what you could not afford, what you could not do because an injury stopped you. And like, sometimes I think like, what if we could just...
What does longevity mean to you?
So as a mother and you as a father, you know this, like when you have kids as well, you start to question a lot this time. And also like, I didn't get kids being super young. So of course, like, will I be there for my kids? I see myself doing a lot of calculations, like when my kid is 15, how old am I? When my kid is if my kid is at the university, how old am I still fit? Am I still So this like, we want to live long, but you don't want to show that you're getting old. But this, I think also means like, not only how long I can live, but how fit I am in this path of life takes you there. And that's the beautiful way of the longevity. This word is longevity that is taking you there naturally to the place that you're supposed to go, and then you're in peace with yourself.
Wow. Place you're supposed to go, and then you're in peace with yourself. That is great. What advice would you give to the Priscilla of 20 years ago?
Don't be so tough with yourself. Like, forgive yourself. I never forgive myself. I'm like, and everything I take it like, and sometimes I'm like, boy, it's okay. It's okay, Like yes. And this I'm learning now more than ever as a mom. Again, to forgive yourself because you're constantly being hurt.
Yeah. And what advice can you give to the young dancers in their careers now?
I mean, I would always say what I told myself, never be too tough. On the other hand, be obstinate. Like, I feel dancers, my time, things, I don't know, if I only had more, I remember in company, people were doing the role, you were second cast, you wanted to do, there was a competition that was not always the best, but sometimes I feel like, go, fight for what you want. Show yourself, don't settle for little. You want to do it, go. Like, show that you want. I was always a very,
outgoing.
Yes. Like, I don't know, very young, I remember my teacher would say, you stay in the back and you don't do this step because you're not that far. Oh, yeah, not prove it to you. Because that was my way to get things, as I didn't have the perfect stereotype, I didn't have the perfect body. I remember this teacher of mine said, you need to have such a good technique that people see you because the body, you don't have it.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So I grew up with like, work that hard that people will see you because the stereotype, the perfect legs, the perfect, you don't have. So I don't say it was correct, maybe. It was right to put this in my brain, but it gave me a lot of power to say, that's what I want to do. Like, so fight for what you want because it's a tough career. My kids tell me I'm a dancer, They both dance because I dance. Everything is movement to me, but not just movement. It's dance. I love dance.
Sorry, I don't want to ask this, but I have to because I think it's so important. Why do you get so emotional when you talk about that?
Because
I realized when I asked you, you got very emotional. Why is it?
Because I love.
It's a beautiful thing.
I love, and I felt it was taken from me in a very cruel way, That's what I hated the most. Somebody told me, you're not saying goodbye to the stage. That's how I felt when I got fired. But even then I was advanced in this company. But it was like, you didn't give me the chance to say goodbye. I had beautiful career and you told me, go. And I was like, this is something that was so precious to me. And the fact that somebody decided, that's when I said, I want to do a project because nobody can tell me that. You know, I love, this is, yeah, so I get very touched because I think nobody should tell you when you stop. Because only we know how much we grow this baby. You start in a young age, you pay to do that, you get hurt, you go over your limits, you work on Saturdays, on Sunday, you move country, you do what it takes because of that. And then somebody says, ah, so nobody should do that. In any way, now I put my experience, but can be for people in a different way. And I feel like I decided because I grew this thing. You know, only I know how much work it takes to be where I am.
If you'd go back right in this moment, what would you tell that person who took that away from you?
Shame on you.
Wow. Priscilla, thank you so much. Before I let you go, any closing remarks to the dancers, to the choreographers, to the dance directors, to anyone in relation to dance?
No, I think I said everything.
Say one last thing. I know. Say, go for it.
I have the biggest respect for people, for us, for the artists. I think it's a career that you can just do it because you love. You don't do it for the money. You don't do it, I think, not for the status because it's too hard, you know. You do it because you love. Therefore, at the end of the day, I have respect for all of us. Even for the ones that I spoke bad, you know, like I still have the biggest respect for our job.
And from me as well, thank you so much for tuning in. And thanks to our guest Priscilla. It's been an inspiring time here, and I really hope that we can meet again on stage together somewhere, somehow.
That would be awesome.
And I also want to take the opportunity to say that I have respect for artists now. I get more and more because I understand that contemporary or ballet or capoeira or whatever, there is a lot of energy, effort, training, sacrifices that goes in for whoever does whatever they do to craft it and perfect it. And not always think that only us being able to have a platform and perform on stage, we are better than other ones. But I think the movement keeps us going and it should reunite us rather than dividing us. So thank you very much for those inspirational words. And I hope we meet again soon. Cheers to us.